when I write. I would say those two. I love Greene, but he was English, and it's a different rhetoric, it's a different sound. And as I say, I wrote my PhD on Joseph Conrad, but he was a Pole who then moved to England and wrote in English, so his language is a little convoluted and murky for me.
Oh, God, yeah. Which is Malamud's great novel?
Oh, The Fixer. It's a great novel. It's about a guy who's put in a prison.
Yeah, I know what it's about. Yeah.
It's a great novel. It's the best one he wrote. And then, his first novel was the baseball novel, which is quite a good novel. And then he wrote another one called The Assistant. Have you ever read that one?
Yeah.
The Assistant is a hell of a book, and it's a very mystifying book, and it's a very Jewish book. I like that, but I think The Fixer, to me, is really something.
Where would you place Skip Bayless as a writer?
Here's the deal. I know Skip because he worked at the San Jose Mercury, and we're friendly. I would place Skip in the category. Remember, I said there were two kind of categories of a columnist. One is a stylist, and one is someone who's connected, gives news and opinions.
Yes.
Skip is way to that side. I feel he was when he was a sports writer, he was extremely well connected. He always knew that day what was the main issue in sports that day. He had a very good sense of that, and that was a talent. And he also could stir up controversy. So, do I think he was a great stylist or is a great stylist? Not particularly. Was he an effective columnist? Hell of effective. Really good.
Yes. Did you have to learn how to rip someone in print and then be able to face them again? Or did you naturally have that toughness, or did you learn it?
I had it. That was probably part of being 5'8" in Brooklyn and having to face people who were bigger and tougher than you. When I ripped someone, I understood the code that you had to make yourself available. Otherwise, they would think you were a punk, and the hatred, or the anger is a better word, would never go away. You can never balance the scales and do business again. So I always have been pretty good about if you rip someone, be there and show your face. Even go up to them and say, is there anything you need to say to me, that kind of thing. And I think athletes and reporters know who does it and know who doesn't do it, and they respect the people who do it. So it came naturally to me, but I do want to admit something. When I do it, when I make myself available, it's not like I do it in joy. I feel, how do I want to say, nervous, palms sweaty. My dad used to yell at us, and sometimes, and I always had bad associations with it, so I don't like when people yell at me. And yet, I know that it has to be done, and I know I won't die, so I face up to it, but I'd rather not.
Did you ever write Beat Sweeteners?
Say that again?
Did you ever write Beat Sweeteners? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's a wonderful term. I discovered it sometime in the last 10 years. It's when you've got a beat and you overly praise certain key figures in your beat just to make your beat easier.
Well, you have to understand, I've never had a beat. I always was a columnist, except at the end of my time at the Chronicle for about 4 months, they took away my column and I did Stanford sports. But it was such a blip in my life, I never had a chance to develop Beat Sweeteners. So I've never had to do that. Now, in my job as a columnist, am I nice to certain people so I can use them for information? Maybe unconsciously. You know what I'm saying? My impression is that I criticize who I need to criticize. Last night I criticized Don Nelson. I don't ever hesitate to do it, and we still have a relationship, and I still call him if I need something. So I would say I might do it in a minimal sense, but certainly it's not something I do very much at all. I'm pretty straightforward, and again, I think my persona, and this would be important to me to get across, I think my persona is somebody who is pretty tough, hopefully fair, and is not looking for any particular favors.
Where are you in the social pecking order of sports writers?
That's to assume there is a social pecking order. There is. I think I'd like to separate your concepts, Luke. Maybe there's a pecking order of who's respected and looked up to in a press box, and then there is who's social with whom. Those are different things.
I mean the first one.
Okay. I have a certain status in the press box for maybe three reasons. One, I'm usually the oldest one now. It's a young person's business. A lot of vitality is required, and also newspapers seem to be dumping, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, seem to be dumping older people because they get higher salaries, and a lot of people in the press box are young. So I'm usually just about the oldest one, so there's a certain respect I get, meaning I've been around a long time as well. Also, I'm a columnist, so it's seen as an elite category, and I used to be a columnist at the Chronicle, so I think there's a certain carryover because I was a big deal at the big paper. So, to my face, I'm almost always treated with great respect. But I generally treat people with respect as well, and I'm easy to get along with in a press box. I'm quiet and hardworking and convivial. So I do believe I'm treated with a great deal of respect, and I'm also known. It sounds like I'm bragging, and I apologize. I don't mean to.
No, that's fine. That's awesome.
When we have press conferences with sports figures, there's usually a group of us, and it's generally known that I and Tim Kawakami from San Jose ask the toughest questions and are the ones who will persist. And that's generally known. So I guess Tim and I do have respect as people who put ourselves out there and ask what needs to be asked.
How do you spell Tim's last name?
It's K as in Kansas.
Yeah.
Awakami.
Okay.
Kawakami. He used to be at the LA Times.
Okay.
And he's a friend of mine, and he's someone I really respect.
How does the desire to be popular with one's fellow sports writers affect sports writing?
Okay. How does the desire to be popular with fellow sports writers affect sports writing?
Yes.
It doesn't. And this is a terrific thing about sports writing. There's a desire, especially on the part of beat writers, to get close to athletes. So there's a certain amount of whatever you do to need to get close. So I was going to say ass-kissing, but that's not right. It's not fair. Just whatever you need so people will talk to you. You don't need that from sports writers. Sports writers are not valuable to you. Sports writers are not particularly valuable to me. There's nothing I can really get from them. I don't write about them. They don't tell me what they're working on. So it's actually a wonderful group in that you simply get to be friends with the ones that you would gravitate to, that you like, and the ones that you don't like, you don't have anything to do with, because I don't need any of them. Now, I need certain beat writers at my paper to tell me things that I don't know about various teams. So, but I tell them things as well. We share. But in terms of doing things to be liked by sports writers, most journalists are extremely independent and would be just as happy for you to dislike them as to like them. I certainly feel that way.
Well, in Hollywood, they give themselves awards, the Oscars and the Emmys, and sometimes when I'm watching a movie, I get the feeling that I'm watching a movie that the movie makers primarily made for their fellow movie makers. but I guess that same sort of thing doesn't carry over to sports writing.
No, I don't think it